progeny, perspective, and the pursuit of the collective. Jingle incoming as we add to our team.
Thank you for your patience as we took an unplanned 2-week hiatus.
I'm Aliya, your host, and this is Connective Collective, where guests come from all backgrounds and all levels of knowledge in family history, and we discover together. Before we meet, they send me one of their ancestors for me to do a deep dive on. I prepare a presentation, then we meet and go over the information in the hopes that it is the impetus they needed to get over the hump wherever they're at in their family history journey. They may already know lots about them, their family may have very little information on them, or it may be a roulette choice. Research done for these episodes is only done with free resources so that you can be empowered to start or re-pick up your journey as well. This podcast is for anyone, anywhere. We discover the good, the bad, but always the beauty. This is episode 6. 10-4, I've got a hostage situation in progress.
Today we have
KIRK, Barbera.
KIRK and the Barberas. That could be like a band name.
Introducing KIRK and the Barberas. Except I'm musically challenged, according to my high school band instructor.
Oh no! Yeah. Yikes. Well, we did a play together, not a musical, so I wouldn't have known that about you. That's how we met, is we did a show with the Austin Shakespeare Company, and you were
Bhima.
Bhima. My husband quotes you all the time. Don't cry, you baby.
Yeah, the major direction I got on that whole thing was that line on how to do that correctly. Because I couldn't not say it like I couldn't. So I'm killing somebody and eating their guts.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say it any other way than, don't cry, baby. Like it was like I was comforting a woman.
Line in that context.
Yeah, I was like, really like, remember, you're murdering this person, not trying to, take them on a date.
And then antagonize them.
And then antagonizing them for crying.
And don't sound like you're beating up a little brother.
That too, yeah. Don't cry, you baby. That's the extent of my acting skills. There's a reason why I played Bhima. Just a
he's the big guy.
Yeah, that's what they wanted me for.
Fair. And I got to tanner you before the show.
Yeah. That was fun. My first tanning experience, like for real. Besides just real tanning, I'm part Italian, Mediterranean or something. So I know when I go out, if I actually go outside, which doesn't happen enough, I do tan pretty well, actually. I just tend to get really white, as you noticed, because I don't go outside very often.
Same. I mean, like I have the capability of retaining color, but for the most part, I'm pretty white. What were you talking about before? I was like, wait, let's start it.
My reaction channel. Yeah.
So what I was gonna say. So just to say, you were like, oh, you probably have a lot of engagement on whatever.
TikTok.
I used to. I've done a pivot because I felt like I was very lucky enough to fall into a niche that helped me monetize. But it's a niche I don't love to be in. And I really felt like I was pandering a lot and I felt very unfulfilled. So now I've kind of bait and switched my entire audience. Sorry, audience. So my engagement is so bad right now. And that's okay. I'm in a growing period. But the thing is like, I am so fulfilled doing this. And so
that's what you got to do. Can I ask what it remind me? Because I remember we did some for Mahabharata.
Yeah.
I'm not a big TikTok person. I'm mostly more YouTube now. I remember them being fun and silly and playful.
Yeah. It was very, like, my highest grossing ones were just anything to do with the WWE.
Really?
Which I knew nothing about prior to falling into.
Were you wrestling?
No,
we're just talking about wrestling.
I looked exactly like the female headliner for like 2 years. And so I kind of fell into it, and I was also kind of alt, and I had dark hair like she did. And it turned into like, I got this really big following because they were like, you were blonde just like her, you're the same age, and then you dyed your hair at the same time. And then finally, to kind of start to try to get away from it, I cut bangs. She cut bangs 3 days later. And I was like,
Oh no. But that didn't fulfill you. You didn't like that. Like you
it
liked the
was,
audience, but you didn't like that content of being another person, basically.
yeah, it felt
Like it
like
wasn't you.
it wasn't me. It's not like it didn't look like me. Genuinely, there were times where my mom would be scrolling on TikTok and she would get us confused. And there were times
No.
where I would even be like, I would have to double take because I would think
Who
it was
is it? Wait, who can you say who it is? I need to
Yeah,
look.
her name is Rhea Ripley. Her stage name is Rhea Ripley, and
I want to
her
look this up.
I
All
think her
right.
real name is Demi Moore. And the thing is like for a while I kind of fought it because I was like, no, we only look like it with makeup. But then I started getting us confused without makeup also.
Oh,
And so I
dang.
was like,
Okay.
dang, we really do look a lot
L-
alike.
Okay. Okay.
And even my
Yeah.
mom was like, is she white? Like, is she mixed with something? Because her nose and your nose are like, I'm like, I don't know. But I don't know. For like 3 years, our lives seem to like be very similar, except the
Yeah.
fact that she's a pro wrestler and like super buff. So, so I just
Okay.
felt like I was pandering and I was playing to be someone else and like, yeah, I want to be an actress and stuff, but
I
also
was just gonna say, yeah.
it's it just wasn't fulfilling or serving. Plus, I didn't want to be annoying to the poor girl.
Yeah, that's
Hi,
great.
I'm
Yeah.
here again. Everyone's tagging me a million times in all of your videos. What is cool is I'm the only cosplayer or lookalike or person. She duetted one of my videos. She acknowledged me. She knows who I am, but it just got to a point where I was like,
That's wild.
and my mom was like, "It's so emo. You're so emo." And I'm like, I'm not emo. Also, this is just makeup. But I
Do you
was
think,
pandering anyway. So that
yeah,
that to answer your question of like, oh, you get a lot of engagement. I did.
okay.
Not
And
now. I'm in a growing phase right now.
yeah, you're into a new world. I mean, it's an interesting thing about creating content. Like I do these reaction videos where I'm relying on the audience of a creator
Yeah.
and certain copyright laws to do something and then
Interesting.
do my own commentary on top of that. But
Yeah.
the thing that draws people in is so I'm doing songs and like lyric analysis from a poem,
Oh,
literary
cool.
analysis. That's my background
And
is
tell me about the
literature.
Troubadour podcast.
Well, I founded Troubadour in 2018, and my goal was really just to have a space for all my kind of literary humanities interests. And I've just always played around with different things. You know, some of it was somewhat okay, some of it I made money, some of it I made nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
But
It's like,
I just loved playing around with not just Facebook, but YouTube. Like I have YouTube videos when I was in film school that were like early YouTube years that I put up shorts that we did in film school.
I
We
didn't
made
know
like a
that you went
commercial.
to film school.
Yeah, I went to film school in Colorado. So we made like shorts. I made a documentary for the Women's Foundation of Colorado that did really well. So I've always just like been interested in learning more about this new media. Like I'm always like 5 years behind it, whatever it is.
Oh, I
So
see.
like I'm just there's like trends that I'm just not like hip with and cool in that way.
What is cool about the TikTok platform?
Because
Well,
it's
it
being
exists
sold.
as it is because it's been sold and it's about to have like a whole US panel and a US version of it. Anyways,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
well, the platform itself is cool because you can join it and grow and explode overnight
Yes.
or grow your audience. People are so hungry for genuine standalone content that is not influenced or bought by big media or big corporations that I mean, it's just
Mm.
something you stick to, you'll build your audience.
I think that's the trend overall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think even in YouTube, you see that. I was having a conversation with a friend. I used to work at this think tank, and there's people who put out content all the time. And he made fun of me because and you know, jokingly, but because I have like the headphones and the microphone showing, there's this kind of Walter Cronkite model that I think a lot of people of the old media, the big media have. Do you know what Walter Cronkite is?
No, but I know the archetype you're talking about where it's just like very set
Yeah,
up,
very
squeaky
like no
clean.
emotion, so that conveys unbiased. And I'm telling it to you very seriously, and you're
Yeah.
going to listen to what I have to say. It has a feeling of authoritarianism, and I think if you look at even the talking head social media people and the popular ones today, they it feels behind the scenes. It feels like it's just me and you. It's a
It's
whole
not
other
polished.
conversation. It's not polished. I think it's a whole other conversation of where that now that's developing into its own big media thing where
Yeah.
it's like, well, okay, is that
Now
even,
they're getting sponsors
yeah,
and
now they have these mega sponsors and
yeah.
yeah, so it's weird. It's a weird world. I like it. It's fun. I have two channels right now. Troubadour channel where I do literature analysis and discussions, and then Troubadour reactions where I do reactions to music, mostly like contemporary. Like the latest one I started doing was this guy Ren. Have you heard of Ren?
I love Ren.
Yeah, I just did High Ren. That's my best video so far. It's been a lot of fun learning and experience and talking about
Yeah,
it
he's
from.
incredible. Talk about how you just did your Iliad translation.
Well, it's for young adults was my first initial goal. And I think it is at what I would think of as like a 12, 13-year-old reading level in terms of the syntax and
Yeah.
the actual language. It is in iambic pentameter, so it doesn't not rhyme, but it has a meter.
Mhm.
And it is a line by line actual translation.
Wow.
I think of it more as
digestible.
Yeah, it's more digestible and it's more for first time readers. So because I read it when I was 10, 11 years old and I didn't understand a damn word of it. And I was so frustrated because I thought I was a good reading comprehension person. I wasn't. So I've just always wanted to help bring great literature to more people.
Access. What do you have for pop potion puree, your drink?
I have coffee, I guess.
No, that's fine. That's totally
Okay.
fine. Coffee it's the afternoon still. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like around the cutoff.
I
It's
don't
actually been
think
a
your
long day for me.
Italian ancestors will be too grieved.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's been a busy weekend, long day, and still more to go. So I need another cup of coffee.
Fair enough. So today I'm fasting. I've got my little probiotics. So it's kind of funny because that also is a P word, but I was like, that can be my little drink.
Yeah.
Pop potion puree, probiotic.
Oh man.
I do love me an alliteration. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Showy Show. KIRK is my first guest for October. October, we have 5 Wednesdays, and Wednesdays are episode day. So I thought it was perfect. All of the month of October is going to be Ofrenda editions. So an altar de la ofrenda, or an ofrenda, is a symbolic altar set up in homes during the Mexican holiday, Dia de los Muertos, to welcome and honor the spirits of deceased loved ones. It acts as a temporary home for the souls of the dead, decorated with their favorite foods, personal belongings, photos, candles, incense, and marigold flowers to guide their journey and celebrate their lives. Ofrenda editions is anyone who has lost someone recently. So you lost someone very, very recently. Actually, you lost your father after I had even started talking to you about family history.
Yeah, it happened in the middle of our discussions.
I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks then.
Yeah, because you even messaged me all your questions that I needed to answer, or that I could answer to help me the day before he died.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm just looking at our text message. That's wild. Yeah.
And when your dad passed, I kind of had already been thinking about this October theme. And so I was like, okay, this is good because now let's give you some time to grieve and to just have some space, and I won't bombard you with an episode right away. We'll give it a couple weeks and I'll see you in October. And so that worked. Yeah. That worked out really well. We're going to be talking about your father, and we'll kind of do like a little homage to him. And then we'll go down his line specifically and kind of be like, all right, who's he hanging out with on the other side now?
Okay.
Sort of a vibe. Have you ever seen Coco?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
You gotta watch Coco. That's gonna be an addition to your homework then. I'm gonna add the last slide. Because
I know the premise.
You probably know all of this because you went to film school. I'm probably gonna say stuff that you know, especially because it's about your family, or it'll shake up some memories maybe. So if at any point you're like, wait a second, that rings a bell.
Okay, I'll do it.
But half the time I'm gonna be like talking to you, half the time it's like gonna be extra information for your audience. For any film, if you want it to have a release in China, it has to go through the Chinese censorship board, which is quite strict. Therefore, because China is such a large consumer of our media, there's frequently pandering to the Chinese audience and the Chinese board so that there can be money made in a Chinese release. Frequently, that even means sending it into the Chinese censorship board, and then there's some adjustments or changes made to a movie so that it can have a release in China. Because of Coco, and if you haven't seen Coco, quick little unsatisfactory blip, go watch it, it's about family history, but it's specifically about the celebration of Day of the Dead, and there's some supernatural elements because, the ghosts come back and we see his family on the other side and he gets stuck and crosses over to the other side. Those are very strictly very overtly against policies in the censorship board. So like
Mm.
anything to do with the supernatural or the next life, religion, which it can be also kind of fall under those sort of beliefs,
Yep.
are all nixed by the censorship board. So Disney Pixar was going to make this movie, and they were like, you know what? We know that this is not going to do, this isn't going to get a Chinese release. But out of respect and out of just like custom, they did submit it to the Chinese censorship board
Mm.
just as a professional courtesy, like, hey, we made this movie, here it is. And I'm not
Yeah.
gonna release it. In an unprecedented move, the censorship board came back and had been so moved by the themes of family and honoring those who have passed, which are huge Chinese cultural things. They were moved by all those themes. And so they actually approved a Coco release completely unedited.
Wow. Okay.
Which is completely unprecedented. And
yeah.
Pixar historically did not do very well. Like their movies didn't do very well. It ended up being their highest grossing Chinese release ever. And they also thought that like because it was specifically a Mexican cultural movie, it wasn't gonna do well worldwide, but it ended up being one of their biggest movies worldwide because of the universal themes. So
interesting. I mean, it's such an interesting thing that I'd love to talk to you about more in detail at some point, about the value of genealogy, the value of these kinds of stories. Yeah, I have some thoughts on that. I'm curious your thoughts at some point too, but it is important in the sense of learning about even just traditional things that you come from that have influenced you, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, we'll shoot now. This is what this is about. There's no rules.
So I come from a place, like I'm an atheist. So I come from a place of the genealogy is intriguing. Like I'm intrigued by it in a certain sense. Like I'm curious about it, but I also have a kind of worry that it embeds certain negative traditions that I don't like, or I don't think are positive. It can have that.
Yeah.
And like so one of the things that is difficult to talk about in today's culture, but like I did a translation of the Iliad, and I'm a big fan of the Iliad, which is a lot about genealogy actually, because everyone is constantly talking about their fathers and their father's father and bringing honor to their fathers.
Honestly, pre-American culture, that's what
all of it.
Life was.
Yeah, it's like, especially in Europe, but all over the world, it's like that.
Yeah, all over the
100%,
world.
100%. There's a book I read a long time ago, The Strong Horse, about Arab and Middle Eastern cultures. And one of the examples they use is when two people in the Middle East, most countries in Middle Eastern countries meet, they do this thing that's in the Iliad and the Odyssey where they start talking to each other about like their family heritage until they try to find a uniting moment.
Oh yeah.
And that will determine this. This is where, so to me, there's something interesting there, but here's where it becomes a problem for me. Why I did lean toward like nervousness about it. Not me personally, but as a thing.
Yeah.
But I've grown more open to it. The worry is that it seems to push a kind of tribalism. Like it's my tribe versus your tribe. And if you're connected to my tribe, you're okay. If you're the other, then you're bad, and that means we can do bad things to you. To me, that kind of ideology is embedded sometimes into that thing. I don't think that's how it is in your case or modern sense, but that's where I was coming from. I'll just say it.
Yeah. Well, too, and family trauma, family skeletons.
Well, that's too. Sure.
It stresses people out. It stresses a lot of people out. You're not alone in that sentiment at all.
I just saw Larry David's ancestors had slaves. I couldn't believe it. And it's just like stuff like that. Yeah, that's nerve-wracking.
What is so great about our country is that it was founded so that we weren't bound by those.
You could start over.
In the United States, genealogy is the #1 hobby. And I think that has so much to do with the fact that so many people are immigrants, but from so many generations now, people don't even know where they come from. And that's why DNA tests are so popular now. And like matching the DNA with the records is really great in assisting, especially when people are like, for example, we'll talk more about this, but you don't really know much about this line we're going down.
I don't know anything.
Your dad just didn't talk to them or about them.
I'm an only child. I was raised away from all family. It was just my mom, dad, and me in California until I was 16. Then we moved to San Antonio where there's my mother's family. She has deep roots here. And I'd love to, on another show, maybe one day do a a deep dive
And
into my
that,
mother. The only
yeah,
reason I'm doing my father right now is because he passed. I
no,
wanted to actually do more of my mother because I actually think I know a little bit more about my father than my mother's side. So like I know some.
you know more about your father's side?
I actually think I know a little bit more about my father's side than my mother's side, which is saying something, right? Yeah, because he used to tell stories more a little bit about, but by my father's side, I just mean like his father and his mother, some, my grandparents, and that's about it. And I got a couple stories once in a while about his grandmother, but these are very sparse, very limited.
Eclectic. So this is, if the records are all correct, this is KIRK's family line that we will be going
I hope
down.
so. Yeah. This is why it's so confusing about all this is like I tried to do like ancestry.com and some of these things on myself, and a record would pop up, and I was like, I don't think that's the correct record. I'm excited to learn anything.
Before we go into the Ofrenda, I forgot to mention. So I've got the little Italian flag here because we are focusing on your Italian side.
Hmm.
But
Mm.
I'm so shocked that you said you don't know as much about your mom's side. Going back. You fell in love with the Roman Empire. Why? Because when? Tell me a little bit about that. Just
Like or specific,
Greco-Roman, like
like
Shakespeare, and because
so.
you,
Okay, so the literature in general. You're saying,
yeah.
I think. When did I fall in love with literature? So I've always been a reader. I think it's the only thing in school that I did well, other than sports. But I always was reading all kinds of sci-fi fantasy. Then I read a book called The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand. And that actually, she has a whole bunch of great things to say about great 19th century novelists. So I started reading Victor Hugo, Dostoevsky, Tolstoy when I was 19, 20 years old. And I had that Iliad thing in the back of my head of like always, what is this? And I wanted to understand the culture as well as the book. And that is a big thing that I'm actually really interested in is, like we're reading Middlemarch by George Eliot. I'm loving it. And I'm very interested in the culture of England at that time.
Mhm.
That is what really attracted me to literature is it transports you to a culture that you're never going to be able to experience. So,
Okay, that's a great segue. Going back to why I love family history is that it transports me, it gives me some sort of like tether
hmm,
to history.
yeah,
And
yeah,
and it's not, I mean, I've got some ancestors who have done some pretty bad things.
yeah.
Science now can track that we do like, the addiction gene or like trauma or fears can be bred into you.
Mhm,
And I think that knowing family history is a great explanation.
yeah.
It's never an excuse. We are our own people. We have our own agency and we are the authors of our own stories. It gives me strength in different ways. Like while I was going through my divorce, I had really gotten into this one line in my Norwegian line. And Vikings was really big at that time. And so, like,
Mm.
watching Vikings and being able to plant my family and their stories because I tracked it
Mm.
into this story. And because I am a cinephile and I love storytelling and I love TV and film, especially historical stuff, I love being able to be like, oh my gosh, my ancestors like in this story.
Yeah,
That gives me some sort of connection to it. So it
that's
gave it
cool.
gave me strength and was a sort of tether again to power that like my people have gone through really hard things and we have grit and I can make it through this. Like this will just be a blip on my timeline someday. And literally I look back at that little girl sometimes I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah,
Like it really is just, I mean, it was a huge chunk of my life, but it really does at this point feel like a blip on my timeline. And there were days that I didn't know how I was going to survive that. But family
oh,
history helped me survive that. And I had
yeah.
some really crazy family emergency stuff the last few weeks and just throwing myself into like your episode and other episodes, just preparing and being with the dead made
Oh,
being with the living feel more bearable for a little bit.
yeah, yeah.
The reason why I wanted to go back to Roman Empire and all that, and your love for literature and all these stories is because for kicks and gigs, I went down your mom's line as well because
Ah,
so anytime you put someone on family search that is alive, it's protected. So anything
yeah.
I've added for I put you and your mom on just for my visual because I'm a very visual person. But like when I put your mom on, stuff started to populate.
Mm.
Like records started to populate. Which again, people could like hunt for it if they really wanted to, because
Sure.
it's it's documentation that's online.
Yeah.
But then like, so I was able to add your grandparents, and because I had sent you, because you didn't, you've never done like a lot with family history, I sent you some questions to fill out. And so I went and input that information. And so I was able to go down really far on your mom's line. And I just was curious. So I like poked around. And first of all, you're very highly documented on that line.
On that line.
Oh, on like multiple strains of your mom's line branches.
That makes sense to me in a certain way, but you keep going.
The furthest that I went back in your family line is the 1300s.
On my mom's side?
BC.
What? That's wild.
You come from a prominent Roman family, pre-Roman Republic, pre-Roman Empire.
But so that would be my mother, my maternal side?
Through your mom's side. Then again, you have to, people have children out of wedlock, but then they're raised by those people still. So there could be some it's most likely that there's some stuff messed up. But if we go by the documentation of so-and-so is raised by so-and-so is raised by so-and-so, and we don't know if they're not the parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go way the freak back.
That's interesting that because just in terms of like the way they look, but that they are German Belgian.
Yeah, well, they are. They're very, very German Belgium recently.
Yeah, so you're saying, and the Roman Empire was huge, obviously.
I mean, your Flanders line goes, I think the earliest I saw was like 90 AD.
Interesting.
But then when you're connected to those royals, and like you said, blood is so important, who your parents are is so important. They're bringing in royalty from other places to marry into the line. So because they started to know that if you marry your first cousin, that doesn't go very well.
Yeah.
And also the obvious of joining kingdoms, joining treaties, and joining military powers, all that good history, marriage stuff.
You have basically royalty, and so it's very traceable, and their bloodlines are very traceable because that really mattered, you were talking about.
Yeah, so this is way before the Roman Empire.
Correct.
Way before the Roman Empire.
This is like Roman feudal.
Because the Trojan War, Homer writes it in 800 BC, and it takes place in 1100 BC during the Mycenaean Empire.
Exactly. Like you said,
it's like
the Arab cultures coming together, and they're like, well, who's your father? Who's your father? The oral history.
Got it.
The oral history was so important.
Yeah, especially for royalty. Although I do think they made a lot of it up. That's my worry about
it. Could be.
Yeah.
But again, it's cool to know that from that line.
So they claimed it at the very least.
Yes.
So someone claimed it. It's like A Knight's Tale when when he has Chaucer make up this whole long lineage, and it needs to be a certain way with heraldry. And it's all made up, right? And I think that's part of the issue with genealogy past a certain point is you have an incentive to lie, which is that if you come from a good line. But I do think it's interesting, like you're saying,
but it's still interesting.
Yeah, because at a certain point, someone from my line did make it up.
And why?
And why? Yeah. And maybe it was true. I don't know. And it's definitely fun to think of it as true. But that's interesting.
Again, this is all fun vibes. It's all about.
Well, that period is definitely But this is cool. I thank you for going.
No, I thought it was so cool because she came from prominent family.
Yeah. Well,
prominent families because that mattered.
Yeah, they had a lot to do with certain important settlements in America. Like the German side in particular, I think were major in Fredericksburg. There's a whole German settlement. It's very German town. Yeah. And I know they were there, and she still has relatives there. So I was very curious about the lineage there. And
well, we'll have to have you back because you're an actor. I did send you a breakdown for the Chosen films here.
Yeah.
And they were looking for big Roman guards and then gave an exact description of what you look like. And I was like, hey, Kirk, go do this. And then it was funny because I was working on your family line and I was like, his family were maybe Roman guards serving there because then I was able to trace that they were married in Africa. And so they were stationed in the Middle East and Africa.
Oh, interesting.
At the time of Christ's ministry.
Oh, jeez.
So I was just like, holy cow.
That is so wild.
Your family was in the Senate when Pontius Pilate was ruling.
On my mom's side?
Yeah.
Well, they did have German. Yeah, so when it became an empire, they definitely had Germanic. Because, I do know that Caesar conquered Gaul, and that is basically Germania. That's really interesting. So that's curious. I'd love to learn more about that.
But again, remember, this is one of your far back lines. You are mostly more recently what you said, Belgian, German.
This is where you're saying that the knowing of history, and this is a great way to transport yourself into history, because it's not Germany until like the 19th century, right?
So much
like I mean, that's like it comes after the Grimm brothers practically, and Prussians and things like that. They're kind of combining into a nation state around the 19th century. So yeah, I totally understand. It's very complicated. It's a bunch of tribes traveling around.
And also people like took wives and brought their wives.
And that's it. Yeah, it's all kind of intermixture.
From all over. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much crazy crossover, especially the further back you go. Like we think that interracial marriage is such a new thing. Interracial marriage, not a new concept. Also carrying away and having war brides, which
sure.
Grandma was one.
Yeah, my actual grandma was one, kind of. Yeah.
Not kind of. That's her immigration status was war bride.
Oh, so
isn't that crazy?
This is one of the things why I wanted to go down this route. Was a lot of it was for my grandmother. I heard so many stories. She never showed us any records. I wasn't even 100% confident of when she was born and where she was born, because I
couldn't find any of that either.
Yeah, I couldn't, like, I had different stories, and she changed her story.
She went through a trauma.
Yeah, she went through trauma for sure. She didn't like to talk about it very much. Her father was a bastard, is how she would call him. He was a son of a bitch, and he died in a fire. And she's like, good riddance, because he was an abuser. He was like a terrible drunk, and and he burned her hair, and she showed me like the burn because he like flicked a cigarette at her hair or something like that, and it caught on fire. Like, he was just a horrible human, and he died in a fire with a cigarette going off on his mattress, and he just went up in flames. That's what she told me. And so, yeah, I was like, I don't know. But then she's Jewish. So she, went to Morocco during World War II to flee, because she was in France, I think, as a kid. And then she fled. So this is part of the story that I heard. But in terms of her birth, I've heard different stories from her.
Yeah.
Like, she told me she was born on a boat to St. Elba once. And I was like, I thought you were born in Paris. What happened to that story?
All of these stories you can go and put just to keep straight for yourself.
Track of it, yeah.
Just literally write them out as little blurbs. And then as you remember more things or as you find records, you can connect it and be like, wait a second, yes. And you can keep those as private and locked for yourself. So just you can sort through your notes, or you can make them public. I mean, I find that it's great to keep them public because then someone else can connect.
Someone like you can, yeah.
Well, that, or
in a good way.
Some random relative is like, oh yeah, my cousin was born on a boat. I remember because my dad was there and assisted with the birth. Like, who freaking knows? Like,
who knows? Yeah.
Random stuff, and maybe they're curious and find that story, and then they see that you uploaded that, and then they click on your profile and message you, and they're like, hey, I think we're third cousins. I have information you might want.
Yeah. We have pictures of her in France when she was a kid and when she was younger. So she was definitely in France. She was a French Jew, and one of her first loves was this Frenchman. But then the war happened. He went off to war. And then she fled, and she never saw him again. But then in the early 2000s, she somehow found him. I don't know if it was Facebook or some online thing. I don't know what it was. And they met, and they fell in love, and he was divorced, and they got married and unfortunately, he didn't live very much longer after that. But I went to their wedding, and they got married because she divorced
Hello, movie.
Exactly. Yeah. Like the marriage with my grandfather did not last long.
I saw those records.
He came from a very, very Catholic Italian family, and they did not approve of her. And so they slowly, I think.
He was a double dip Catholic. He was Catholic Irish.
So that's definitely the wrong person then.
Really?
Yeah, because he's like 100, like Italian. Well, I'd be curious, like, so what do you mean so Barbera's Italian? I'm pretty confident.
Yeah. He's
a barbarian.
Dad is, and his dad is, and his dad is, but like who was married. So like your great great grandma.
Oh, that maybe, yeah. So maybe there's some Irish,
and then the Irish in-laws lived with him.
Interesting. They're from like Sicily area. Like, so his grandparents. Yeah. So that, I don't know where, but so that's news to me. I don't know. I'd love to go visit. That's the only part of the story that I'm pretty confident about. Is like
they're They're very Italian.
They're very Italian. Yeah. The Irish thing. But yeah, the Irish. So tell me more about the Irish.
Okay, let's go down the line. And dear audience, this may all be wrong. That's a part of the fun.
Okay, sure.
We'll go in. Well, first we'll do the Ofrenda edition. So we're kind of ping-ponging because I'm a disaster and that's how I work. So here we have
this. So this is definitely true. This is my father.
Yes, this is This is all true. This was
Yeah.
recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, KIRK knew the guy.
I knew him pretty well. Yeah.
So this is Vincent
Yeah.
John
Yep. Yep.
Vincent John Barbera.
Hmm.
So I've got some of the things he liked and some of his photos. I did crop out anyone who I believed was still living because it's bad juju to put living people on an ofrenda.
Oh, thank you. That's
It's
interesting.
like
That makes sense. Yeah.
this is for dead people.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's not
Yeah.
confuse the spirits. So I've got these
Oh,
cute little, what is this, confirmation?
I would assume so. Yeah. I don't remember. So when my father was in New York, he was Catholic. My grandmother eventually moved to Hollywood, and he was more like Jewish, raised that way from her. And he would go back and forth every year. So that was one interesting thing about him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, and it's so also common in mixed households. And he loved golf. We got a little golf ball here.
He did. Yeah.
He's in the Navy. He seemed to really love his time in the Navy
Yeah.
from the stories I saw. He's got some great photography stuff, so I threw in this hilarious photo.
That's what we did together. But yeah.
And again, because you're in that photo, I cropped it out. I
Sure.
do
I
throw it in
appreciate
the
that.
other one though, because I was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm not like super superstitious, but also like I don't like messing with things.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
For those of you who are not watching, this is a fabulous saloon dress up photo. And then I've got, he's this little boy in this photo, I believe. And then I assume this is grandmother.
It's definitely not mother. Yes. Because I know my grandmother very well.
Tell me who these people are. So we've got him here down. He's the little boy here. And then there's three women.
Well, the one above him looks kind of like my grandmother.
So his mom.
Yeah, his mother, I think, but I don't know. So I know he had aunts there. So here's one thing I do know about the overall story, but I've lots of confusion, is like a lot of Italian Americans, they were very much united together.
Yeah.
There's definitely lots of stories and rumors about the connections to a certain organization.
I mean, we can say it.
Yeah, the mafia. Like I do know, like one of the things I know for sure, very confident about, is that my grandfather had many, many businesses that he only had for like a year or two. Like he'd
Yes.
have a hotel, he'd run that for a couple years, and then all of a sudden somebody else owned it. And he had a barbershop that he was running for a couple. So it's like that
I
sounds a
saw some of
lot.
these records.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like a front. Even he was a military police in World War II in Africa, and supposedly he like ran the black market for stuff. Like in that area, like he was just constant. Like I don't want to say anything about Italians.
Michael.
But Michael Barbera, yeah.
Okay.
Who I met several times. I do remember him in his face. I remember going like he had in a. There's a newspaper article he used to have called the Bambino visits your bar, or something like that. He had a nickname called the Bambino, and he would travel to bar around Buffalo, and he became popular as the Bambino.
Cool.
So I have all these kinds of stories that my dad told about him.
My gosh. And you should go upload those.
Sorry, I know. I'm bad at
No,
that
it's okay.
stuff. I'm bad at
No,
that.
you're
But
totally
right.
fine. Just
Yeah.
when you remember that, it is cool because you don't know.
Yeah.
You might have cousins, that are like, where did this brother go?
Yeah, exactly. But to answer your question, those could be part of any number
looks
of
like grandma.
groups. Yeah, I think there might be grandmothers, aunts. There's all kinds of aunts, uncles, cousins, but they fell apart over time.
Understandably. It's a tough business.
Family
Yes, family.
or the mafia.
Both. He's got some sick motorcycle pics. He owned a bakery.
Yeah, that's when I started getting fat. When I was like 15, like I was always got a big boy, but man, when he got that bakery and I would help him out with it, and I was just eating bread. It was him and a business partner, and my dad was mostly the kind of help with some finances, but he also helped run it and do deliveries and all that stuff. But we did a lot of just generic breads, but also breakfast breads, and they were very famous for a kind of sourdough that all these restaurants. It was like a rye. I don't remember exactly what it was, but all these restaurants ordered it a lot. When we moved to Texas, I turned 16 and he gave me that old beat up van. And it wasn't even it was like a minivan, but we used it for deliveries.
That's so
And
funny.
we would just put all this types of bread.
Memories.
All these memories. Yeah. Thank you.
That's awesome. On Ofrenda, you put their favorite food, hobbies, whatever. What other things maybe would have been on here besides the motorcycle photography, bakery, golf?
Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo
He's a die-hard, Bills Mafia guy. That's one thing I'm trying to actually trying to stay connected with my father, because I'd never been that big into watching sports.
Yeah.
I like playing them. But before he died, it was one of my hopes that they would go to the Super Bowl so he could see it once in his life. Because my first memory ever was the Buffalo Bills, and we're in California. We're all surrounding they went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row, and they lost every single time. And it's this famous story. And my dad is just, he watches every game. He watches all the NFL games. He's a huge NFL fan. Yeah, he never got to see a win, which, if they win this year, I'm going to be a little pissed because they're doing really well.
He was helping on the other side.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
His dad stayed in Buffalo and his mom moved him to Hollywood.
Yeah, she lived there until like early 2000s. Then she moved to San Antonio with us.
And your dad has one sibling?
Two. Well, 1.5. My aunt Mickey, who passed away many years ago, and my uncle Roland, who's still alive. And he was born in, I think, Morocco, or he was born overseas. When my grandfather, Mike Barbera, met her, she had a kid and they brought her over. And one of the stories that everybody tells is when they brought the mother over, my grandmother, then Roland came over as a little baby or a very young child. There was all this, I don't remember the exact details, but there was all this pomp and circumstance for them coming. And there was even an announcement because I think they had to get some special privilege to get him in. So my grandfather used some cheat code or something. I don't know, whatever he did.
Yeah.
He got and anyways, it was in the paper. He was in the cab, my uncle, and he was kidnapped because they found out he was important. The cab driver was supposed to take him, drove off instead of taking him where he's supposed to, trying to get some money. And then I don't exactly know how it was resolved, but I do know that with my grandfather, things just tended to get resolved.
That'll be on your homework as well then, to go and go talk to Uncle Roland and kind of pick his brain.
So I do have a cousin, and her father, again, so this is on my grandmother's side. So this is the Jewish side. Her father, I think, does have a lot more of this information. He knows more about the genealogy of some of the stuff, even of my dad's side of things, but mostly my grandmother's side.
This is your homework.
Yeah, I know.
Shoot them a message.
I know.
Okay, so we're just going to read your dad's obituary, which you've probably read a million times. Did you write it?
I wrote it, yeah.
I was going to say, you probably wrote it. But just for our listeners, we're going to really quick read it. Vince was born in Buffalo, New York to Gillette. Is that right?
Yeah, Gillette. I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. But yeah, it's Gillette. Jerry is what we call it.
Jerry, okay. To Jerry and Michael Barbera. He grew up with his brother and sister, and throughout his youth, he was surrounded by the love of cousins, aunts, and uncles who remained important in his life. His childhood was spent on both coasts, in New York and later in Hollywood, California, where he developed his sharp sense of humor and gift for storytelling.
In 1969, Vince enlisted in the United States Navy, where he served with Fighter Squadron 111 during the Vietnam War. He was stationed both in-country and aboard the aircraft carrier USS Kitty Hawk, where he supported squadrons flying F-4 Phantoms. He was awarded the Combat Action Ribbon, the Vietnam Service Medal, and the Republic of Vietnam Campaign Medal. His service also included humanitarian efforts, such as supporting the Tan Binh Orphanage, part of what sailors called Project Cindy. In later years, he spoke with pride about his time on the Kitty Hawk, remembering the friendships he made and the dangers of life aboard a carrier at war. She was my home, he once wrote, and I'll always remember her.
After returning home, Vince pursued his passion for photography, studying it in college and creating images that filled his home with beauty. He carried that same eye for beauty into his career as a successful real estate agent, where he was known for working tirelessly to present every home in its best light. He later became a paralegal in Fremont, California, and also ran his own bakery, enjoying every chance to serve others and to build something of his own.
Outside of work, Vince's life was full of adventure. He was an avid motorcyclist and loved nothing more than riding across the country, making numerous cross-country trips with his wife well into his 60s. Whether on the open road, behind a camera, or telling stories with family and friends, he was always known for his infectious laugh, his warmth, and his generous spirit.
Vince is survived by his loving wife, Marilyn, and his son, KIRK Barbera, who will carry forward his memory with pride and love. He will be remembered as a man of courage, creativity, humor, and devotion, someone who lived fully and gave deeply to those around him. So these are some more up-close photos.
Photography, he studied in college, and he got involved with the group that was learning from Ansel Adams.
Oh my gosh,
one of the most famous photographers in American history. They went to Death Valley and they did. So my father there's some beautiful photos of him. One of them is actually in a bunch of textbooks across photography courses where they teach the zone system. Having any kind of artistic parents is always weird because I don't know how to say this, but there were some interesting photos, blurry a little bit, of my mother, like that my dad was very proud of, and they're there, like in the like on the hallway. Now it's not like a super like nude thing, but it was definitely like
you're like,
it's like it's there, and I was like, what is that? Like I grew up with that, so to me it was very normal. What it was, not a big deal. But yeah, that's how they got connected, was he took photos of her. So my mother worked for my grandmother at AT&T. When my mother said I need some photos, she's like, my son does photography. So that's how they met.
Awesome. This is that orphanage that you read about. My dad sent me some information I forgot to throw into a slide. So let me see if there's anything super pertinent that you don't already know.
Oh, your dad found some stuff.
So my dad's in the military, and so my dad's kind of like my specialist.
Oh, cool.
He sent me a page for his unit, the Fitron 114 Fighter Squadron, just like information pages on his units. And then also his deployment explanations are online on wholenumber.com. He was part of the Westpac Vietnam. You can see all of the planes in his squadron from 1970 to 1972 in the documents he sent me.
Oh, cool.
So I'll put that all up for you.
Thanks. That whole thing is a really sad story. I never got to talk to my dad about much because he couldn't, he didn't want to.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah. When he was joined the military, that was the height of Vietnam. He was trying to actually avoid combat by joining. So he had to join something or get drafted into the army. So he decided to join the Navy in the hopes that he would be like safe away from Vietnam, because he grew up hearing all the horror stories. It's 69. It's not the first year, right? So he joined the Navy, hoping to be on a boat somewhere far away. He ended up in country, I think, on 2 tours. He had to protect supply lines.
Well, yeah, he was the supply guy.
Yeah, so he was patrolling, which is the last thing he wanted to do. And he actually has a little bit of shrapnel because his bunker was hit. He got fired on several times. It was like the exact opposite of what he was trying to avoid, obviously. I think what really killed him in the end was Agent Orange. So he was on 100% disability. He had so many medical problems, especially starting 25 years ago. That's when I think the decline, in 2000, I could see it. In the lower left corner, in the military newspaper, they did a piece on Project Cindy.
And you guys are twins.
Yeah, I know.
You guys have the same face.
Exactly.
Was your mom even there when you were conceived?
Jeez.
Okay, this ancestor line, do you know little, lots of roulette about them? We've already kind of addressed that. You're like, I know bits and pieces. The Barbera line. How it started, just the grandparents.
So yes, one of my father's grandmothers, a good
great
cook.
lady.
And she was nice to him. It might have been his.
I would say then it would be his paternal great grandmother.
Yeah, it might have been that.
They didn't know Jerry's parents.
Oh yeah. So it couldn't have been Jerry's parents. Thank you. Yeah,
no
so it must have.
It's hard to organize sometimes without looking.
No, you're right. And I do know that he and his sister always felt left out because they were mixed babies, son and daughter of a Jew. So you're saying that my father's mother, or excuse me,
the grandmother
might have been Irish.
She was.
I didn't know that. I didn't think about that. Like, I guess I assumed both were from the old country. Well, I was saying, I'm pretty sure Michael's parents were both born in America. I'm pretty confident, but I could be wrong.
Yes,
and their parents were born in the old country. I'm pretty sure about that.
Yes, but Michael's mom was born in New York, but her parents were immigrants from Ireland.
Michael's mom, really?
We're just going to quickly go through what I did find. We'll see if it jogs any memories. We'll see if it feels super, super wrong and off. This is all life via censuses and or public documents. So something to remember is that these documents, a lot of them are self-reporting. It's based off of memory. So dates can be off, and that's okay. It can still be the correct record, but that's why you want to compare a lot of records, because
interesting.
I would say within a 5-year window is okay. But if it's a 10-year window, it's like that can't be the same person because 10 years is too much of a deviation. 5 years is more understandable, especially when someone is self-reporting at 38. They might get something wrong about a 5-year window.
Yep.
Spelling and education. What's really cool about some of these census years, they ask different questions. It's not the same every time they do the census. At some point, it is recorded at what level of schooling they did stop going to school. So most of them, it looked like about 8th grade. And so spelling wasn't fabulous.
Yeah.
And then that's why record comparing is important. And so what I did was I removed a lot of wrong records where I went through each individual record tied to a person and I said,
Wow.
yes, this makes sense. Yes, this makes sense. Yes, this makes sense. And I'll send you these documents that I made.
Oh, wow.
And then if I started to be like, this feels fishy, I would deep dive a little bit more. And I was like, actually, this is a completely different Michael, for example, Michael Barbera, and it's actually Barbaria. And it's a different family that's been conflated with this Michael. So I was able to like detach him, split them apart, create a new person, strengthen that profile, then strengthen his profile so that if people try to add records or photos or stories to those people again, they're not going to get reconfused. Unlike Ancestry, anyone can come in and edit it. So it's really important to strengthen profiles.
Got it.
And that's why even just throwing in those little stories like she had a burn mark from her hair being on fire and her father died in a house fire. Mattress and cigarette question mark. And then someone could be like, I have a clipping of that because that was my mom's brother or something. Yeah. And so it just strengthens the profile so that there's less confusion.
Makes sense.
This is going to probably look a little bit overwhelming, but it's just census information is just going to be a lot of words. The generations we have here are KIRK, and this is just through the father line. So no wives right now. This is just father line. Okay. So we've got KIRK, Vincent, Vince, John, Michael, Francis, Felix, Joseph, Michael, and Vincenzo. And these are all Barberas.
Third great grandfather's Michael again?
Yeah.
So like Michael Barbera might have been named after his grandfather.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You see a lot of name recycle a lot. And another thing just to keep in mind, when you see something, sometimes you're like, oh, well, this Felix was born in this year and this Felix was born 5 years later. That's kind of like sus to see two different birth certificates for a Felix. Oftentimes they would reuse names. So in this case, Michael, the elder, did have two Felixes. And Felix number 1 died at 2, and 4 years later, when Joseph was born, they named him Felix as well.
So wait, you're saying this is my grandfather's father's line?
So this is your grandpa is Michael. We're calling him Michael Francis. So your great grandpa Felix Barbera was named after his older brother who passed away.
Okay.
I'm really confident that these are the line. It's totally possible that they're not, only because the censuses reference the down the line. So
got it.
We're very sure, obviously, of who Vince is, your father.
Yeah.
And Vince is mentioned, and details very specific to Vince are mentioned in Michael Francis's. And Gillette is a very, very specific name.
Oh, okay.
All of those records tying Gillette and Michael to Vince strengthen Michael's profile. And then if I know for a fact Michael Francis is tied to Felix Joseph, you know what I mean? So that it's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
This is the line up. We're going to start and trace our way back this way.
Oh, okay.
So Vincenzo, there's like nothing. He's just orally referenced when it's required to list who was your father. He's like Vincenzo. Like there's no record, and it's not there's not a strong enough amount of information to go off of to connect any Vincenzos from the time that were Vincenzo Barbera. But that's as far back as we've got so far.
Okay.
And that would be Kingdom of Two Sicilies, pre even modern Italy.
I'm confused.
So pre-modern Italy, like the country established today, he was born and raised likely in Kingdom of Two Sicilies because he was from Messina.
Oh, interesting.
Date-wise, he would have seen the revolution.
Oh, interesting.
And lived through it. So I've got a TV show for you to watch about that.
Maybe that's why he left.
Also that.
Yeah.
He might not have even been a crime family. He just was a part of the caste system and hated it.
Yeah.
And was like, I'm going to go send my children for a better opportunity.
Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of Italians for sure.
After Vincenzo, we've got Michael. So he's highly, highly documented.
Okay. This makes sense.
He's born and raised in Italy, but immigrates, from what he says, self-reporting, with his parents when he's like in high school.
Oh, this is not my Michael. This is his
Correct.
grandfather. The dates on this are interesting, but it could work, I guess, because if my grandfather was born in like 1920,
They were babies having babies. So he
babies
immigrated.
having babies.
It's
a different time, like because I'm 40, unmarried with no kids. I'm like, what's happening here with the dates?
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, they were like 15 having kids.
I think he was 17. From the records, he got a little Irish neighbor pregnant.
Okay.
He was 17, she was 18.
You're wrong, Aliya. You're wrong. Okay, so I mixed up Michael and his son Felix. He did marry a woman who was of Irish descent, who was born in New York City, but everything I'm about to say about them getting married 3 months later, having a baby, her being the neighbor, him being 17 and her being 18, that's all wrong. It's wrong. That's all Felix, his son. They do have like a 2 or 3 year age gap. They get married. Felix does at 17 get his little neighbor girl pregnant, and she's 18, and she's the little French Canadian, which, KIRK, we didn't even think about this. It's interesting that Michael's mom was French Canadian, but maybe, who knows if her relationship with Jerry was good and it was just the extended family that it was harsh with, or it was specifically the Jewish aspect. And, she's French Canadian Catholic, and she's French Moroccan, whatever, French, and Jewish. People have done worse for religion. Back to Michael 1. But keep in mind that this story I'm about to tell is actually about his son.
They got married, and 3 months later, so like when you're doing the math on all these censuses, 3 months later, she has baby. And in the next census, he's living with his parents still, and she's living with her parents still. But his son, Felix Barbera, is living with his grandparents and his mother because they're 18. She's just barely given birth. Her sister is also freshly married and has a baby a year older. So they're kind of raising their kids together. So it kind of builds that picture. And especially multi-generational living was so common, especially in New York City. So she is Irish and is born in the United States, but from Irish immigrant parents.
Wait a second. So Michael, I'll call him Michael the First.
Michael the First.
Michael the First was born in Italy. He immigrated to America. That's when he met this Irish American.
Yes.
And got it. And she was a year older.
In the earlier records, it's always a year apart. In the later records, they split the budget and just say they're the same age.
Yeah, let's make it up, basically.
Yeah, because they're just like, we're both whatever. And, they, depending on months and whatever, they were the same age. So if you're self-reporting to some freaking census worker that comes knocking on your door, you're like, yeah, we're 48.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
When you have time, you can scan through this information I have. Okay. But basically, there are some records that are accessible just from home through Family Search. Some of them I have them marked. You can see the physical record if you go to a Family Search center, which any LDS church functions as a Family Search center. And so if you access your account from the center in the building, you can see everything for free without paying all those subscriptions because they have sort of whatever. And it lists all the children. It says, it gets pretty, some years they ask like nothing. Then you have another one where it's like, okay, father and mother were both born in Italy. He's a sugar maker. He can read, write, and speak English. I'm just going to pop through the information that's very pertinent. So again, this is where we see a long record of working in the cigar industry. So he was a cigar maker. Then later on, he was a cigar purchaser. He was a cigar roller. There's a cool 13-minute documentary you can watch. I put it on your homework. You don't have to watch it, but it was.
Have you sent me the homework yet?
No, it'll be at the end. It's like a little it's like stuff for you to just follow up on. But it's a 13-minute documentary that was made in the 90s, and it's basically about the cigar empire in New York City, and it's called The Last of the New York Cigar Rollers. And because for so long, Manhattan was cigar central. And Michael Hurst was a part of that. Born in Italy, mother tongue is Italian, both parents born in Italy, native Italian speakers. But Anna, his wife, Anna or Annie,
so the records don't match is what you're saying sometimes.
Well, they match so closely where it's like all the children are the names. The birth years are the same names. It's just like details are fudged because it's self-reporting. In his later life, he was a bank messenger. But it's cool because like stadium laborer, he ends up moving in with his daughter Anna, named after his wife Anna. He moves in with them. So So you kind of can trace his life through that. So from Michael, we have, so over here, we've got Felix is born into the family. We've got records of Felix repeatedly throughout here. So we get to go to Felix real quick. So Felix Joseph.
So this is my grandfather's father, Michael II's father.
Yes, okay. Great grandpa.
Great grandfather, yeah.
Because there's overlap, I don't have to go through everything, but same things. Parents, it gives their naturalization dates. Felix ends up marrying a French girl. Whose parents are from French Canada. So again, he's still Italian, but now you've got another wife married in with a different type of bloodline. They're French Canadian.
Yeah.
Does that ring any bells?
I know nothing about this whole line, I'm telling you.
I love it.
This is all news to me.
I mean, what's cool too is like even some of this stuff, clerk at Expressco, or like the addresses listed on the things, you can still find those buildings there. Felix went to 8th grade, which how we have 12 years of school is required.
Yeah, it's a stopping point.
8th grade was like, now you can go into the workforce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But then his kids got to go to high school. So we see here his son, Michael, your grandpa, got to go to 2 years of high school, but now he's 20 years old. After the grandfather's widowed, he moves in with them too.
I called my uncle Vinny, but he wasn't my uncle. He was actually my father's uncle. And I knew him very well. Uncle Vinny came and visited a lot. So he's not, what you're saying is he's not marked on the census as the child of Felix. So there's no Vinny or Vincenzo or any Vincent that's a son of this Joseph.
Joseph over here, younger than could have been Joseph Vincent.
True. Yeah.
And they just didn't make a record
There's
of that
several...
name. But because I haven't been looking at Joseph's record specifically, I haven't found that it's a middle name.
He could, I don't know. And Vinny, that's a nickname. His name wasn't actually Vinny. It was probably Vincent something or something.
And if his dad's name was Felix Joseph, he probably maybe didn't go by Joseph. He went by his middle name, Vincent. That would be easy to go down because it's recent enough there. He would be highly documented.
Okay. Yeah.
And then that would be a way to like confirm that these are the right. This
looks right.
Over here, he worked for the city of New York in his later years. His description for the draft card was that he was white, but he was a light brown complexion and tan, 5'6", brown hair, brown eyes. He ended up later working as a truck driver at the New York Water Department. So he spent the last 15 years of his life working for the New York Water Department.
So he was 41 when he was drafted.
It was a draft card. So he wasn't drafted.
Well, his son went. And the Joseph one makes sense because I'd have to do the math on it because he was in Korea. Vinny was definitely in Korea, which is, 5 years after, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it makes sense that he would be old enough to be in Korea if he was 12 years old in 1940.
So he could be Joseph Vincent or Joseph Vincenzo after grandpa.
Yeah.
That would have been his grandpa. Yeah. So that would make sense. So Michael Francis, your grandpa, who you've met, this is his draft card in his handwriting with his signature down there.
Oh, wow.
He was only 22. He wasn't married yet. So he listed his mother, Florence, as the person who would know where he lived. He also worked with his dad at the Department of Water. It shows here he was white, gray eyes, brown hair, but he was ruddy. Isn't that interesting that that's one of the
jobs? He was, he technically is probably accurate. That's what I remember of his skin color.
He was
ruddyish.
Tan. Yeah,
it's tan and there's a redness to his face.
So you said when you did his little thing, you were like potentially involved in the mafia. So we've got that little blip here.
Yeah.
And then you talked about him meeting Gillette in Morocco, and the story is that he saved her from being killed by a local man. Was there a reason?
Well,
because he was Jewish, or
all right, this is where it gets tricky with race and religion and enmity. So my grandmother's Jewish. She's in Morocco. There are Arabs there. She befriends an Arab man. One night, he secretly follows her home with an axe and is going to kill the Jew. It's the story I heard. And so my grandfather was across the street. He sees this, follows the man with the axe, and shoots him. That's how he meets my grandmother.
And she already had a child.
Yeah. Or she was pregnant, but I think she had a child already when they met. Early pictures of my grandmother, she was definitely very good looking. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I hope it happened that way. I'm going to pretend like it happened that way. I think it's nice to think of that.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do. But who knows?
Documents or stories or.
Yeah. Who knows what really happened?
Ding, ding, ding. New information alert. Okay. I was about to post this episode. It was all edited, all ready to go, when I got an email from the National Archives saying that the documents on Michael Francis, so KIRK's grandfather, so Vincent's father, were ready to download on behalf of the family. My brain is on fire. I had to call my dad to go through the information with him because it made things, it felt like it contradicted some things. So to make a long story short, I have just put together a huge chunk of the puzzle, which I am very excited to share really quickly. So this is also going to be a surprise to KIRK. So we understood that Michael served in Morocco, and that's where he met Jerry, or Gillette, who was a French Jew who had fled to Morocco. Okay? Something that I had forgotten in my research that I didn't even include in the slideshow was that Michael did join the National Guard for New York October 3rd, 1940, which was a year-ish into World War II, but they didn't start pulling from the National Guards until a little bit later. So this all tracks. This registration card says January 1945, and I was panicked because all of the records I found were from someone who served earlier than that. Lo and behold, because this totally happens, this document is named incorrectly as a draft registration card. This actually was his separation paperwork. He joined the National Guard in 1940. He was a part of November 8th, 1942's Operation Torch, which was the Allied invasion of French North Africa, and that is where he would have met Gillette, and he was in North Africa and running things in Morocco, right? But the documentation I just received is two different battle casualty reports, but also separation paperwork and final payment. He has a casualty the 23rd of June, 1944, in Saipan. He is sent with other U.S. troops to the island of Saipan for the beginning of the Battle of Saipan. June 16, 1944, U.S. Army forces landed and began to advance inland. That's June 15th. So by June 23rd, he has made a battle casualty report and has been injured in this battle. Because they're in the middle of this battle, he's not able to, I guess, see a doctor until later, when he's already obtained other injuries. I'm going to read that report. Michael F. Barbera, and it's the same information, same age, same person, same home address, same mother's name. Everything is the same. This is 100% the same person. The type of casualty is listed as EUS, which is evacuated to the United States. And this is a serious injury. So this is separation. The date of this casualty is the 26th of August, 1944, still in Saipan. So it's the Pacific Theater. He's a staff sergeant. He's in the infantry. The doctor's notes say wound, gunshot, rifle, .25 caliber, severe perforating, point of entrance, upper left quadrant of abdomen, point of exit, right anterior chest, just below the right nipple, traversing skin and muscle, and 6th and 7th costocortical junction, whatever that is. Condition on admission. Wounded for 15 days. Open, partially debrided. Debrided, surface infection, sloughing necrotic tissue along the side of wound due to gunshot wound. Occurred as a result of enemy action in Mariana Islands, 26 June 1944, when he was struck by HE, high explosive. So it says when he was struck by HE fragment, which that is used, luckily AI can quickly pull that HE was an abbreviation used on World War II documents to mean high explosive. So he was struck by a high explosive fragment. This is now the 26th of August, 1944. It's been 15 days since he was injured, and what we thought was the draft card was actually the separation paperwork, final payment paperwork, and all of that. So wow, some insane clarifications, insane extra details for ya.
Got you, Vincent, Michael, Felix, Michael, Vincenzo, and then the historical timeline. So the timeline of that Kingdom of Two Sicilies, all the war and turmoil that would have made him want to take his son to America to a better chance and better life, then the world wars, and then your dad being involved in the Vietnam War.
That's really cool. I had not, and this is all new to me, especially after Michael. Homework.
I would encourage you to watch my episode 3, because it's about the same areas that
Oh,
your
cool.
family is
Okay.
likely from, except for we don't have enough documentation as to the specifics, but we know you're from the Bay of Messina, which is where Michael the First was born.
Okay.
Which is on the island of Sicily, but
Okay.
Kingdom of Two Sicilies also encompassed the bottom half of modern day Italy.
Interesting. Okay.
So it wasn't just the island of Sicily, but it looks like documentation wise, geographically, you were from island of Sicily as well, which is where you get the Mediterranean coloring that you see in your family.
Okay. And I have
So
when I'm outside for a while.
and that you
Crazy.
also have when you're outside. Watch my episode 3.
Okay, definitely.
Because I also tell her to watch Lines of Sicily. That'll give
Okay.
you a lot of context to the classism
Yeah.
and how bad the classism was, even when merchants had money, way more money than the actual people in power.
Sure.
It didn't matter because your name mattered more for some
Oh
reason.
yeah. Oh
Which
yeah.
is why people left
Oh
those
yeah.
systems. Talk to any Barberas. Don't get the information.
Okay, sorry. I'm so bad at that. I need to do this more often.
Just send a text. Be like, hey, I was on this family history thing. I don't know what I'm doing. Can you point me in the right direction? Because then I'm going to ask you for a voice memo. So your episode's going to come out this Wednesday, the 1st.
Oh, wow.
You have like 10 days. A voice memo just being like, hey, I watched this movie. I thought it was great. And then that'll be like, oh, I found out this. I found out you were wrong and you connected the wrong Michael. And it's actually all of this. And because we did this, I was able to find that out.
Yeah.
That's all a part of it.
I'll do my best for you because you've done so much work. I appreciate it. Learning something about the Two Sicilies is, to me, the
so
amazing.
cool.
Yeah.
Especially because we do know at the very beginning, before I even said, oh, he's born in Messina, you were like, I'm Italian, Sicilian, Mediterranean, something. So you have those family stories, at least.
Yeah.
So now you can go and watch this and be like, whoa, that's what life was like. High budget. It's done very, very well. It's shot on location.
Yeah.
It's done in conjunction with the Sicilian Historical Society.
Okay.
Mostly are the censuses and public records. For you, I just did all open source stuff. And then plus the VetRex was able to get me the same documentation you already had, but it was good just to double check and our records across from each other. I'll thank my father for his expertise. He got me a little bit more specific information too. I'll send your way. You and your mom, thank you guys for sending those answers back. No, because that's really helpful. Any little random tidbit that you're like, I don't know, I know nothing. And then you throw in all these like 50 other stories along the way. I'm like, that's something.
Yeah.
Like there could be records of a house fire.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Or
yeah,
like, you know what I mean? You think it's like nothing, but I mean, it's all something.
I'll do my best to do the reaching out to family. I'm just so bad at that. I'm such a loner because I was raised far away from everybody. So I'm a real outsider in so many ways. Like I didn't get to, which is one reason why I'm curious.
Send them the episode and be like, hey,
well,
how long did we get it?
Yeah, that'll definitely do. Yeah, send
them the episode and then they're like, babe, where did you get this info?
Yeah.
Well, that's a part of it. There's this story that was shared in what we have. We have general conference twice a year. Our entire church. It's broadcast from Utah, and then everyone tunes in. Basically, what this story that was shared, this guy took his family and they got lost and were having car troubles. I'm very badly paraphrasing the story. But they were out in the mountains in Utah and they get really long and windy and you can get stuck for a long time. They were having car trouble. And so they came to a fork in the road and they didn't have service or map or anything to be able to get out. And they were like, all right, we're feeling very strongly that this is the fork in the road that we go down. And so they went down it and very quickly it came to a dead end. And they were like, what the heck? That's annoying. We just drove down the wrong way. But okay, we know it's the wrong way now. So we know the other one's the right way. And going down the right way, though, it was long.
Yeah.
It was long, and they would have maybe doubted themselves and like halfway down the correct one turned back. But because they hit the dead end the wrong way so quickly, they knew that they could go down the right path.
Yeah.
And like stay on the right path. So that's like kind of how this family history stuff is like, it's okay if it's the wrong way. It's just more information.
That's a great analogy. I love that kind of thinking.
I feel like that happens a lot in life.
Yeah, it's a great life lesson for sure.
It really is.
There's a lot of value to going down the wrong path. The Stoics call it this: the obstacle becomes the way. It's true. There's something about.
It's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
Well, that too.
That's like the
modern
Pinterest.
Yeah, Pinterest, exactly. Pinterest is a great way to put it. It's an interesting exploration. You're trying to figure out what's true, what's not true, what fits, what doesn't fit.
When you have like one census, it's like, it's not a lot of information to go off of. But when you have 10 censuses,
you could cross
that all are saying like there's an overlap in information with slight deviation that's within the boundary of realistic. That's how you build this picture in this life. Thank you so much for letting me do this with your little family. And I'm so grateful that you opened your heart to the Ofrenda editions also.
Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Talk about Vince.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I've already asked my mom, so I'll ask her some more.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
And tell your mom thanks for doing all that work.
Yeah, I will. Definitely.
All right, bye. I'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Thank you and grazie again
for listening to this episode. If you are related to this line and want to add more information, email us. Please email us corrections or anything. We would love to read them out in future episodes and feature them on our Throwback Thursday segment, which is completely dedicated to updates from prior episodes. We do have content that comes to you every single day, but Thursdays are literally dedicated to that, okay? So give me the info, correct me. I love it. You're welcome to send that via video or voice note explaining, or you can type it out for me to read. Or, I don't know what that was. All right, going on. Or if you're just on this family line and want to give us a shout out that you learned something or whatever, give us a shout out. Any shock, any disgust, any joy, whatever it is. You're welcome to also send those in. We love it. If you're unrelated, but this podcast still gave you some feelings that you'd like to express, the good, the bad, and the beauty, Like I said, we don't discriminate. Let us know. We love words of affirmation around here. Direct message us across all platforms, but the easiest way to get a hold of us will be through our email, which is connectivecollectivef@gmail.com. That is FH for family history. Connective Collective, FH@gmail.com. And, give us a review if you feel like it. We don't care. We're not looking forward to those at all. We are not sponsored by anyone so far. If you would like to change that, please reach out. And I just want to say we are not sponsored by FamilySearch.org. We literally just want you to understand that you can do this for free. This will remain a free resource that aims to entertain but also inspire anyone to pick up their genealogy journey. We always start with our guests getting connected to FamilySearch.org if they're not already on it. All outside resources are found through messaging others who have added to their ancestors' profile and the rabbit holes that sends us on, or the records on the free websites. If you are ever stuck on Family Search, they have resource centers all over the world that are free for you to access, and we are happy to help you locate one if you feel lost. You will be helped as little or as much as you'd like by a specialist at these centers for free. What I love about these centers, as someone who is a family history veteran, when you access your free, I can't say it enough, free account, if you access your free account from Family Search while physically being in one of these Family Search sites, you get access to all of the awesome but expensive other databases online because of their partnerships with Family Search. While you may have hit a wall in your genealogy while hunting at home, maybe, just maybe, it's only a curtain. If you want to sponsor us, please don't hesitate to reach out. It would be much appreciated. We love you. Crowdsourcing information is what allows this collective to connect.
Grazie for listening.
And for being a part of Connective Collective.